Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Easy Accounting Channel. Today we are talking about charity, GST and HST. Remember last week we talked about charity guideline on how to go about our charity. Now we are talking about the GST and HST for charity. So you determine if your organization is a charity for GST or HST purpose. So a registered charity for income tax purpose says is also a charity for GST purposes. However, a charity for GST purpose does not include public institution. That is a registered charity that is a school authority, a public college, a university, hospital authority, or a local authority determined to be a municipality by the Minister of National Revenue. So you determine if your charity is making taxable supply. So the tax status of your charity supply, for example, it's sales, leases, rentals, and services has to be determined. Why most of the charity supplies are exempt. Some of each supply may be taxable. Then you calculate the small supplier tax. The small supplier test are used to determine if your charity must register for GST or HST purposes. So charity have two small supplier tests. 250 gross revenue test and 50,000 annual taxable supplies test. So to calculate your charity gross revenue for the first test, add up all its business income, donation, grants, gifts, property income, investment income, any amount considered a capital gain from the disposition of property for income tax purposes and any other revenue of any kind, less any amount considered a capital loss from the disposition of property for income tax purposes. You calculate the taxable supplies for the purposes of the second test and the worldwide revenues from the supplies of goods and services subject to GST, including zero-rated supply. Do not include sales of capital property, supplies of financial services, or certain payment for goodwill. Generally, a charity is considered a small supplier if it has either 250,000 or less in annual revenue, gross revenue, or more than 50,000 in annual worldwide taxable supply. So you also determine if your charity is required to register for GST or HST. If your charity makes taxable supplies, it may have to register for GST, HST. So a charity that is a small supplier does not have to register for GST, but it may do so voluntarily. Charity that are not small suppliers must register for GST and HST. So you determine if your charity is required to collect GST or HST on its taxable supplies. If your charity is registered or required to be registered for GST, you must complete GST HST form. And you can see the form also list of all the provinces that are entitled to the GST and HST taxable supply. Then you complete GST and HST return if your charity is registered for GST and HST. And if your charity is registered, ensure that GST returns are filed and calculations are done correctly. Most charity that register for GST must file a return once a year using the net tax calculation for charity. So charity that uses this method remits 60% of the GST it collects on most of its taxable supply. So apply for public service bodies rebate. Regardless of whether your charity is registered for GST or HST, it is generally entitled to claim a 50% public service body rebate of the GST and the federal part of the HST it paid on its purchases. Establish eligible for other GST and HST rebates. So your charity may be entitled to other GST and HST rebate, including rebate of the GST or HST paid on printed books, expenses related to providing services. Thank you for coming to my channel. I hope to see you in my next video. Please subscribe to my channel and share my video. Thank you. Bye.